Hey guys, welcome back. Ryan McCrum here at ZimbrickAudi of Madison, Wisconsin. Today we're going to dive into the smaller end of the SUV segment by taking a look at Audi's new redesign of the Q3. Pretty sharp. So first off, let's take a look at the general exterior of this new Q3. Not quite the same as that jelly bean that you're used to seeing up until this point. We've gotten a little more fierce, added some more just defining lines going around the wheels, through the bottom with this nice side skirting. You'll notice these new redesigned wheels. These are 19s on this car currently. We are looking at the S line, so it's going to have that sport appearance package, which is really cool because we'll take a look at a couple other things when we get into the interior. But all around, slightly bigger this time around. Wider, longer, taller. You're going to sense that when we're in the cabin as well. And I think a lot of our Q3 customers are going to appreciate the extra bit of room, especially when they take a look at the new redesign inside the car. Okay, so right away, you can see that this is not the Q3 that we're used to looking at. Complete redesign of the front face of this car. The grille has gone more of an octagonal shape with your traditional horizontal grille lines, but they're segmented by these sharp 3D matte finish chrome vertical lines that really kind of tips its hat to the Q8. And that's what's really neat about this car, is that you're kind of getting this flagship style with something that's more compact. Now, the Q3 has never had standard LED, full LED headlights. Now these do have high beam assist, so when you're on the country roads of Wisconsin and it's at nighttime, you're gonna get those high beams. If a car comes around the corner, don't worry about it. They're gonna come off, and as soon as they pass you, the car knows to put those high beams back on so you could see fully. Now, you'll notice down here, this little matte finish box. This is a radar sensor that is going to trigger your pre-sense front. So in the case of a forward collision, if the car senses that you are gaining rapidly on the car in front of you and it thinks it's about to collide, it'll give you a beep, but then it'll give you a visual warning right in the front of your virtual cockpit. We'll take a look at that in a moment. But at the last moment, it'll give a harsh jolt to the brakes. It won't avoid the car in front of you, but it will make the impact severely less severe, which is important because this is a family car and you might have your children in the back. So very safe feature there. These little circles you see here, you know that that's your Audi 360 pre-sense, your beeps in the front and the back. If you're backing into a parking spot or in your driveway, just those caution beeps that you get when anything's in the close parameter of your vehicle. So aside from your premium, premium plus, and prestige trim levels, you're also going to have an option to get a traditional Q3 or an S-Line Q3, which is the Sport Appearance Package. Now, that's not an engine upgrade, but it does make the car look slightly more sporty, fierce, and just all around cooler, if you ask me. Right here, we see a little more of an aggressive front face of the car with this bottom skirting right here in contrast coloration with the gray. And as we wrap our way around the car, so along with the extra side skirting, front skirting of that S-Line Sport Appearance Package, we're gonna get a couple other cool things, including this S-Line badge on the side. But now when you open your door, you'll notice an aluminum S-Line door sill. What's really cool about this is it has an LED light built into the door sill. At nighttime, that's really gonna pop and just impress anyone that is riding with you that night. Now, making our way around the back of the vehicle, you'll notice we've kept the same coupe-like drop-off for the back window, but you'll notice full LED taillights. Now, you're gonna get daytime running lights as well. So anyone on the road, especially in the winter time with this nice stark ibis white, those taillights are gonna pop out at you, and even if you're in a blizzard, you are going to be seen quite well. Now, as we open up this trunk, power liftgate, of course. Now, you're gonna have this nice privacy panel, and it'll be attached by these little tassels up top. Now, you could take those off, and what's cool about this if you like football and you're a Badger fan like me and you love the tailgate, this makes for just a very nice table that you could drape a cloth over and have some crackers, sausage, anything like that for your friends if you're entertaining. Or you might have dry cleaning that, you know, you might have all the hooks in the front utilized if you have a big order that you're picking up, and you can drape a nice suit over here and you're not going to wrinkle your clothes. So just a couple cool little aspects of this privacy panel, aside from obviously keeping your shopping goods private from anybody that wants to peek in your Q3. They probably just want to check it out because it's a very cool car. So of course you'll notice in the back here, now this is a brand new car, so this little silver accent along the back. Now this is a protective element to the car. A lot of people, when they pull their suitcases out from the trunk, just kind of drag it out, and that's when you're going to get a lot of those scrapes on the back bumper. However, there are products like 3M provided that you can add on, like Scotch Guard, that can protect that back part of your bumper as well as the sides of the doors. Now, what's cool about this is it is rounded, so it's picnic proof. And I like to mention this to my customers because with such a nice wide opening lift gate, you can pull up rhythm and booms. Hillside, you have a little basket there, and you could sit comfortably and watch the fireworks, and even if it rains, you're under a lift gate. So that's why I say it's picnic proof. But of course you're gonna get your bottom tray, which is the nice hard plastic. If you have a dog, you don't have to worry about this getting scratched up. That's kind of what it's meant for, to take wear and tear off of the carpet underneath. But you're also going to get these nice all-weather Q3 Audi Authentic weather mats. WeatherTech is great. After experiencing these, they're meant for the car. They fit great, and there's nothing like it. It's very sharp to go Audi Authentic. Now, I'm sure you're probably wondering, do the seats fold down? Because we need that to happen. The answer is yes. And if you come around the side here, there's a nice, very visible tassel that's right on the side, and you just pull that and the seats fold right down. Now, along with that folding, you're also going to have a bar on the bottom of your seat, and when you clamp that up and you pinch it up, you're going to have a nice 6 inches of sliding room. So you might have your kids in the back seat, but you have some suitcases in the trunk, and you need to make just a little extra room in the trunk while still having passengers in the back seat. We could do that, no worries at all. Okay, now the moment we've all been waiting for. Let's take a look inside the car. Okay, the first thing I want to highlight about the Q3, of all the Audis, what I've found as someone who's 6'2", 6'4" on a good day, this car is so easy to get into. Now, it's not as low as the sedan, but it's not like climbing up into a big SUV either. It's just a nice boom, and you're in the cabin. It's just very comfortable for me personally, and I think that goes for most people as well. Now, let's get this thing fired up. I'm going to turn the battery on. So as we make our way behind the steering wheel, you'll notice right away this interior is gorgeous, and it's so fresh and new and different than what you're used to seeing in the Q3. Now, we're going to have this touchscreen now. This is the same Gen 4 technology that you're going to find in our flagship cars like the Q8, the A8, the 6s and 7s. This is the all-new Gen 4. This is where Audi's headed. This is the future of Audi, and you're going to get that in this small segment SUV. Now, with that said, we don't have navigation in this MMI system with the Q3. However, we have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto connectivity. This is huge. Nowadays, even with our tremendous MMI map, people just gravitate towards what they see on their phone. They use Waze, they use Google Maps, Apple Maps. There's a variety of different platforms used nowadays, but I would say Waves is probably the most popular because they're offering great things such as, sort of like a radar cam for police officers. You know, you're in a German car that is meant for the Autobahn, and they go fast very easily. So with that, it's just a nice little little buddy in the car watching out for you, but as well as music platforms. You're going to be able to stream anything that you pay $10 a month for, Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal. You're going to be able to stream that right through your sound system, and you're going to be able to select which song you want at the touch of a finger right on the screen. Now, there's a couple of modes for this screen. You're going to be able to change it to a haptic feedback that feels and clicks like a button. Now, right now I have it on all touch because that's just how I like to do it personally. I like it to be just like my phone, but you can change it to have an audible click sound, and it feels like an actual button. But for right now in this application, it's a quick touch. I find it to be a slightly quicker and more intuitive for me personally. Now, looking at the virtual cockpit, this has a beautiful matte finish to it. It is so easy on your eyes. At nighttime, you will appreciate this. Now, you're going to have your temperature gauge on the left, your fuel range on the right. Now, this is a small SUV, and you're getting 440 miles on a full tank of gas. That is a lot, and you will appreciate it when you get out there, especially when you're making long-distance trips. You'll find, especially in comfort mode, because there's a couple driving modes that we'll look at too, you're just going to get a nice range there. Now, as we move with these arrow toggles on the left side of the steering wheel, you'll go into where you'll find media. Now, that's where you're going to sync to Apple CarPlay wirelessly or Android Auto, but also if you choose not to do the phone connectivity with Apple CarPlay, you can just connect Bluetooth and have all your phone contacts still synced into the virtual cockpit, so you'll be able to hit your voice automation and say call so-and-so and get a phone call, pick up, put down the phone just as easily as you did before. Now, as we go into our view button, what this does is pretty much take away that diagnostic information that's in front of you, so you can really just hone in on what your speed is and what your tachometer is telling you, along with your range. You're still going to have your trip odometer at the bottom and your clock as well, your digital clock, so you know what time it is. So as we move over to the right side of the steering wheel, just like all of our other models, you're going to have a scanner, so you could go through the radio stations or the music that you're playing off your phone, as well as a volume scroll. Now, your passenger is going to have their own volume scroll down here in the center console, kind of more geared towards their side, which is nice. You don't have to take your hand off the steering wheel if you have a passenger and you want to tell them to play your favorite song. But on top of that, you're going to have this star button on the side of your wheel as well. That is a very unique button that you can use to assign a number of things to it. In this model, we have the option to link it to our garage door opener, or we can have it switch from radio to media. So you might be on Sirius XM and you want to switch right back to your Apple CarPlay, not by looking at your phone or taking your hands off the steering wheel, but by simply hitting the star button, and that will switch right back from radio to your phone app. Now, garage door opener as well. Very convenient spot to put your garage door opener. Traditionally, it is found up here, kind of where your lights are and your panoramic sunroof controls. But we thought it might be a little more safe and intuitive to put it right on your steering wheel. And I think we hit it right on the head. So as we look down below the center MMI screen, you'll notice your fan and temperature speed controls. This is very similar to what you'd see in the old Q3 or the new A3. Still very sharp. You're going to have these nice, this has got a nice feel to it, a nice grip around these dials, and it just feels the clicking of each temperature going up or down. You could just feel the quality and the control. You don't feel like it's ever going to not do what it wants to do. So you're going to have your front, your rear defrosters, your air direction as far as down by your feet, right at you up here, or more of a defrosting setting up on top. You're also going to find your push and stop
button as well to turn off the car and turn on the car. Now below that, you're going to have this little stretch of buttons here. That's where we're going to find our drive select. Now you can change this in real time. Now when you go to this, you're going to have a number of different modes. You're going to have off-road, and all you do is keep clicking it and it keeps going down, and when it gets to the bottom, it goes right back to the top. So off-road is more of a calibration. If you're on a very rocky, undulated road, this is just going to help the vehicle maintain its center of gravity and not compromise as much performance as it would. Now, as we make our way down, comfort mode. This is the traditional mode. Oh, got a little phone call. Good thing I wasn't synced to the speakers, or else it'd come right through the system, right? So as we go to comfort mode, this is going to be the softest suspension, just your day-to-day commute. Now, Audi has a strong racing heritage, and it lends itself to being a stiffer ride for good reason. Because when you're in an Audi, you have a fully, seamlessly laser-welded body, which is extremely safe in a collision, but it also makes the car just rigid in nature. Now, to cater to the customers that might not appreciate that control and stability, they want a little softer feel. So when comfort mode is applied, you're going to sense that in the steering wheel. It's not going to be quite as precise, and you're going to have less of a zip under your accelerator foot when you hit the throttle. But all that could be changed when you go down in dynamic mode, and that is the opposite. To me personally, I think this is the essential Audi mode. It's what an Audi should feel like. It's that heavy, precise steering and that control, that lack of G-forces and body roll when you go around a turn. It's just going to suck you right along, and it's just going to feel like you have complete control over the car, which I love. Now, there is an auto mode. Now that is, if you really don't know whether to use comfort or dynamic, you can just leave it in auto, and the car will kind of float in between the two and kind of have more of a opportunistic eye on the road. If you're on the highway, it'll kind of shift to more of a comfort mode. When you get into a stop and go situation, the car says, okay, maybe I should be a little more dynamic. It's actually a pretty awesome mode to be in if you really don't know either or. Now we can go down to individual. This is very cool because in this mode, say, I really like the way the car drives in comfort with my acceleration, but I really like that sporty, exact, precise steering. You can have best of both worlds, or vice versa. It's up to you. You can customize that any which way you like, and I find that to be just incredible because now everyone has a different way of driving, and we have different driving behaviors. So moving to the right, we have this off switch. Now that's for traction control. This car has Quattro, which is just notoriously the greatest all-wheel drive system in the world. It is always awake, always on for any gripping and traction that you need, whether it's snow, loose gravel, sand, oil slick. You're going to be hugging that road as tight as you can. Now, there's a traction control that when you do slip, the Quattro is going to know to shoot that power out to the other wheels and kind of cut off power to the wheel that's slipping. So when you turn this off, all the wheels are going to keep their power and none of them are going to be cut off in any which way. Now this is important because you might be plowed in a neighborhood in the dead of winter. Now this happens, and a Quattro can only do so much, but if you're in 3 feet of snow and you need help pushing your car out, you could turn your traction control off so all your wheels are spinning, and that'll be necessary for getting yourself out of a situation like that. Very specific, but when in doubt, you do have that capability. Now as we go to the right, you'll notice that A with the arrow circling around it, that's your auto stop start. This is a tremendous technology. This is going to save you gas mileage as well as just help gain longevity over the engine. Now, when you're at a stop and your foot's on the brake, the engine's going to power down. Now, as soon as you lift your foot off the brake, it's going to fire back up. Now, it's not jarring whatsoever, but some deem it distracting, and you can turn it off if you'd like. That way, the engine is always on, it's always purring, and there's something special about that as well. Now, Of course, right in the center, you're going to have your emergency red triangle, you know, that your double blinkers. But aside from that, you're going to have a P with a little wave accent with a triangle. Now that's your parking camera sensor. So you can hit that and turn it on. Now, of course, when you go into reverse, your parking camera is going to come on automatically. But if you're at a standstill and you just want to check out to see what's behind you, you certainly can. And you can just press this button and it'll come on and you'll see these yellow lines, and those are your prediction lines. And when you move your wheels, of course I can't at this moment because the car is not turned on and my steering wheel is sort of locked in place, but those are going to be very accurate and represent the very outside parameter of your wheels. Oftentimes it seems a little nerve-wracking looking at this and not at your mirrors, but I guarantee you once you get used to this, you'll learn to trust it, and it is extremely helpful when parking, especially in a parallel parking situation or a crowded garage where you might have stuff laying around here, lawnmower, trash can, any of that stuff. You'll get those pre-sense beeps, and you'll be able to see exactly what's going on behind you. Now, the last button over here on the right, that is a downhill assist. This pretty much puts a slight drag on the car, and you can set it to a specific miles per hour, like 3, 4, 5 miles per hour. If you're going down a very steep hill, I mean, concerningly steep, to where even if you just rode the brake or coasted, it'd be uncomfortably quick. You could apply that as well. Now, if we move over here, you'll see just a nice glove compartment. We still have our Audi multimedia interface here. Now, we just have an SD card though, so you can load what you'd like to onto an SD card, whether it be, you know, additional music that you have that you'd like to rip onto the MMI system, onto our jukebox, which is really cool, or different, you know, as far as internet connection, you might have some gigabytes of data available for that if you aren't an Audi Connect subscriber. So, nice amount of room too. As we look down this way, you'll notice our parking brake. Kind of right where it usually is, just like cranking up your bar. All you would do is lift that up, and you could even hear it. When that locks in place, the car will not move whatsoever. Even if you put it in drive and floor it, the car won't move. It's a safety feature. But when you see this red illumination, this is good to know because you might be parking at a friend's house at a party that has a steep pitch in their driveway, or just on a steep hill in general. Now the car is going to look out for itself. This will apply itself if the car senses that it's on a steep enough hill. So when you get back into your car and you put it in reverse and you're not quite going anywhere, that is the first place you check. Always check that. Your car is, nothing's wrong with your brand new car that you just got yesterday. It's your parking brake. So check that. So now as we look below that parking brake, you'll notice a 12-volt outlet. Now this is just a plastic covering because we don't have cigarette lighters in cars anymore. For good reason. And why would you smoke in a beautiful German car in the first place? So to the right of that, we have some nice cup holders. Now there's a nice little section here in the middle that you could put like your phone. Now mine's a little big. I'm a little outdated. I have the 6S Plus, which is like the big iPad looking phone. Slightly too big, but if you have one of the new ones, that will fit just very nicely right there. But as well as that, you have this compartment down here right in front of the gear shifter. Now, this car has an available smartphone box that you can apply in the build right here. Now, what that is a wireless phone charger. You put your phone right there, and boom, it lights up and it starts charging. Now, it also is going to have signal boosting, so you're going to be able to receive calls, receive texts, send calls or texts that much quicker in this car, which is nice. Now, this is the same gear shifter that we're used to. This is a 7-speed S-tronic dual clutch system. It's just tremendous, very, very smooth acceleration on the highways, and it's just very exhilarating all around when you get out there in this car. So if we look to the right of where the wireless phone charger box is, you'll notice a couple USBs. One is a traditional USB that can be used to charge your passenger's phone, since yours is on the wireless pad. You might argue over who gets that, but we have a USB-C. Now, as we progress with technology, you're noticing a lot of these charging points are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So if you have an iPad, I think Apple is changing to where you have a smaller port instead of your traditional USB. Now we have a USB-C. So you have that option as well. If you have one of those pieces of technology, you can definitely charge it and utilize it in your car. Now moving up here, you'll notice a very beautiful panoramic sunroof. Aesthetically, it's gorgeous, but more importantly, we use these big sunroofs for sound deadening. Now, if you're ever in a car without a sunroof, pay attention on the highway, that wind noise kind of rippling at the top of the metal part of your hood. You're going to notice a lot more noise coming through your car without one of these in it. But of course, it's beautiful, and when you're in the back seat, you're just going to have a nice view of the beautiful day, the clouds and the sun, and you can always shut the screen as well. So there we go. Now, we're used to seeing these screens more translucent in previous years. Now, Audi has made an adjustment. Now, these screens are solid. They're the same material, but they're not going to be translucent. So you're really going to have a nice contrast between, having daylight come through the top window. And now it is tinted, so it's not as harsh as you would think, but you can really close it off and have a nice dark cabin in here if you'd like. Of course, we're going to have our lights right here that are LED touch lights. You're used to seeing the little circles, and now we have this cool little design that kind of stretches right in between, so the lights are sort of connected into one plate, which just looks sharp, but it's the same technology. You tap on, tap off. Now you can also hold it, and it'll dim to 50%. So if you're looking for something on the floor really quick and you don't want this bright, jarring light, you can dim that as well and just turn it right back off. So the last two buttons I want to talk about up here, one is a light button. Now when you hit that, all the lights in the car are going to turn on. Now the one to the side of it with a little car emblem with a door opening, it's similar. Now when that is on and it's illuminated red, this prompts the car to turn on all the interior lights when the door is opening. So whether you're getting into your car or you turn the car off and you're exiting the car, all those lights are going to come on. Now, if you like to enter and exit, more so in the dark, that's fine. You're not going to notice it in the daytime, but at nighttime, when you open your door, you're just going to be able to see, first of all, where the seat is. You don't want to miss that. But just, anything that might be on your seat, you don't want to accidentally sit on something that might compromise the leather on your seat, because it's gorgeous. But let's talk about the seats. You're going to have a number of settings as far as lumbar support, bringing it out, receding it back, raising it up or down to kind of cater to that soft spot in your back, but also just your traditional controls to go up and down, forward and back, change the back of your seat, but also you're going to have this little button on the side. Now you can't see it, but on the both left side of these headrests, you're going to be able to push that and go up or down, but also in and back as well. This is important because when you're driving, having your head positioned in a way that's comfortable is important to me. You don't want to feel like you're way back there or pushed forward. A lot of these cars being produced nowadays are a little more prone to having their headrests lean forward because that is a safety feature. When you have whiplash, you want your head to be more forward and not go as far back. Now, Audi took that into consideration, but we also realized that these headrests that lean forward aren't as comfortable as you'd like them to be. So we kept them more flat, but with the ability to scooch up or recede back. And you could customize that any which way you'd like. So now that we've covered everything in the center MMI system, the virtual cockpit, one other very important feature that I want to highlight on this Q3, something that's available and that I think is completely necessary, is your side assist. You're going to notice this black square rectangle in the interior of your mirror. Now, when a car is coming up and they're gaining on you in the neighboring lane, that is going to illuminate but via the camera that sees 200 feet behind you. Now you're going to get a nice 1/1000, 2/1000 of illumination before they're really even in your blind spot. Now, if they're coming up very quick, it's going to turn on that much earlier. The faster they're coming up, the earlier it's going to turn on. Now, if they're getting uncomfortably close to you, as far as just where they are in their lane, that will start to kind of blink at you instead of holding a solid illumination. Just important to know, because sometimes when they're in your blind spot, you can't really tell exactly how close they are. And with a reckless driver, you're going to want to know if they're getting a little too close to your tail light, so you can hit that turbo and kind of get into a safer situation.
All right, guys, thanks again so much for tuning in with us, taking a look at this all-new redesign of the Audi Q3. The links are in the description, but if you'd like to know any more about this tremendous vehicle, we encourage you to stop on by Zimbrick European for a test drive. See you next time. Whew, that door sill.